Okay, what we reviewed today, Stephen, was that when you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, their angles have different relationships. So for example, angle 1, I'm telling you, is 100 degrees. That's called the given, okay? In other words, someone already measured it and they decided that that's 100 degrees using a protractor. So they're giving you that angle. And your job is to find angle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, all these angles have special relationships. So for example, angle 1 and angle 2 add up to 180 degrees. And angles that add up to 180 degrees and are on the same line are called supplementary angles. So we can say that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. So we know that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, and that's because they're on the same line, angle 1 and angle 2. Now, the other angles that are supplementary are 1 and 4 and 2 and 3, because notice they're on the same line. Now, the other relationship I see up here is angle 1 and angle 3. Angle 1 is across from angle 3, so that means it's vertical, and vertical angles are equal. So angle 3 equals 100 degrees. So we can now say that angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. All right. What other angles are vertical up there? Well, angle 2 and angle 4 are across from each other, so those are also vertical angles. So if angle 2 is 80, 4 has to also be 80 degrees. Now, we did a hands-on lesson where I had you use the patty paper and trace these angles and then move them down. Remember? Now, when we moved them down on the table, all of these angles landed right on top of these 4 angles. And the ones that landed on top of each other were the same. So in other words, angle 1, when I moved it down, landed on top of angle 5. Angle 4 landed on top of angle 8. Angle 2 landed on top of angle 6. And angle 3 landed on top of angle 7. What we call that relationship is corresponding angles. So we can say that angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. And that means they're the same. So angle 5, because it corresponds to angle 1, is equal to 100 degrees. Angle 4, because it corresponds to angle 8, is equal to 80 degrees. Angle 3 corresponds to angle 7, so that has to be the same as 3, or 100 degrees. And then angle 2 would land on angle 6, so therefore angle 6 is 80 degrees. Okay, so that pretty much gives us an idea of how the relationships between supplementary angles work, vertical angles work, and corresponding angles work. Now, we also learned more relationships between parallel lines and a transversal. Let's again look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So another set of relationships would be angle 1 and angle 7. I had you draw that hamburger, or I think it was a cheeseburger actually, and we talked about which angles are inside and which angles are outside. And we call the outside angles exterior So the ones in the bun are exterior angles. And the ones inside are interior. So we have exterior angles and we have interior angles. The interior inside the parallel lines, the exterior outside the parallel lines. So what you need to know is if I give you an exterior angle, let's say this is 100 again, then I know that this angle and angle 7 are the same. And the reason I know that is because if they're on alternate sides of the transversal and they're on the outside or the exterior, they're the same. So we can say that angle 1 and angle 7 are alternate exterior angles, and therefore they're the same. So if I know angle 1, I know angle 7. Now, angle 2 and angle 8 are also the same. How do I know what angle 2 is if angle 2 and angle 1 are on the same line? Well, I know that angle 2 is 80 because I know that both angles together add up to 180, and they're called supplementary angles. So if I know angle 2 is 80 degrees, then I also know that angle 8 has to equal 80 degrees because those are also alternate exterior angles. Now let's look at the interior angles. What do we know about those? Well, we know angle 4 is 80 degrees because notice these two angles, 1 and 4, are on this line, this transversal line, so they're the same. And then we know that 80 and 6 are also the same because they're on alternate sides of the transversal. So these two angles, angles 4 and angle 6, are called angle 4, and angle 6 are called alternate interior angles. And that's how you justify their relationship. Let me know if you have any questions, bud. And that's exactly what I'm going to ask you tomorrow on the quiz. I'm basically going to give you a set of parallel lines cut by a transversal. I'm going to give you one angle, and you're going to need to find the rest, and you're going to explain why it makes sense. Okay? You have to justify why two angles are the same using any combination of these terms: supplementary, vertical, corresponding, alternate exterior, and alternate interior. Okay, so I just need you to understand what those relationships are. Okay? All right.